doesn't tell me things, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the parent that gets on there and follows what my kids do.
Yeah.
If they don't tell me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Point blank, I know making music is going on, but that's all I know.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't tell me, hey, Mom, tickets go live, I don't know. The tickets go live.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh, no. Jaden, he tells me every year, Monday, whatever, at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And literally it's a frenzy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Is Mickey in a show?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's in the show.
Okay.
He's in the
show. Okay. Is he's doing a solo, right?
He's supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he's doing. So I don't know. So I'm going Friday night because Saturday I didn't get on there when everybody did. And the tickets I guess are fine, but they're in the wings. And I was afraid I wouldn't be able to see everything I wanted to see. So I'm going Friday night by myself because there was plenty of really good seats Friday.
Yeah.
Because
everybody goes Saturday night.
So I'm going Saturday, Friday, and then Saturday night. So I wanted to see the and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So Friday I'm going.
Is anybody going with you Saturday?
Yes,
okay.
We're all going.
Family.
Yeah, we're all going Saturday.
Yeah.
But I'm just going by myself Friday because I want to be able to see it.
Yes.
And I was so afraid I wouldn't be able to see what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Where was it? So
yeah.
Where Heaven, Brody, and Steve don't really care.
Yeah.
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 Seeing it is enough. You know?
Yeah.
But I have to see some things.
Yes.
And so anyways, I'd like to watch it in the balcony once, but.
I know. I tried, last time they had dress rehearsal, and I told Jaden, I go, ooh, dress rehearsal, and he's like, it's closed. And I said, I know someone. And he's like, thank you. He's like, you're not coming. He's like, I don't want you on Facebook. I don't want you to know what any of the shows are. Like, he's like, I want you to be surprised. And I was like, but Dalton came up to me today. He's like, hey, I took some of the youth to see the show last night. And I was like, you did? I thought it was closed. And he goes, it wasn't that close because I had 15 years with me. He's like, I got to talk to Jaden for a minute. He's like, Taylor, I said, don't tell me what her show is. He goes, their outfits are incredible and her voice. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I knew that she hand-painted their costumes. And I'm like, how have you had time to do? We don't have a wedding planner or anything. But yeah, I'm like,
She's going to add one more thing.
Her husband's anxious to see. She wanted to tell me. And then she's like, can I tell you what I just want to tell her? Absolutely. Let it be a surprise. And she's like, yes. I think what's here. I took it out with your I'm telling you, the amount of time that she has spent just driving costumes to different places to be sewn and then up and then take, I mean, she is
saying, she's like, you can't win. He said, I think I'm just going to try to stay away from the play. And I had she's going to be either sad mad or so sad. So I said, well, I don't go through grieving process. So she'll be sad.
It'll probably
she'll be
shocked.
mad.
Yeah,
It's like the parent.
But they can, go through the process. I told you that. I took it out there for her. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I don't blame you. I would too.
Yeah, me neither. It'll be fun.
Got a good place for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's going to come home this summer. I think she's going to come doing the dancing thing. She's going to come.
Oh, fun.
And then she's going to come back and go to their wedding.
Okay.
She's as long as nothing crazy doesn't pop up.
I can't tell you. Jaden has, he's like, and Taylor told him it'd be okay to have Casey as like one of his groomspeople. But he's like, I just don't know. And I was like, I think it's fine. And he's like, that's weird. I was like, it's not. People do it. And yeah, he's still, I don't even think he still asks like some of the guys yet. Like they're stressing me out, but I'm like, nothing's gonna happen until after making music. They're both so.
That's just where their time is.
Yeah.
At the moment.
I mean, and then I'm like, well, let's take finals and graduation. So maybe after that, we're all but then we're going to Nicaragua for a week.
Oh wow.
It's not sure. August 8th. They have their venues.
Yeah.
They have their caterers. Yeah.
It'll be good.
She's got her dress. I mean, what else do you need?
Was it you that I sent that to? Who was I sent that to? Taylor was saying she wanted to flip the slide at the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a.
No, you didn't send me anything, but yes,
Well,
she
I sent
does.
that too.
She does want to
Oh,
slip the slide.
I did it. I didn't send it to you. Taylor,
Yeah.
too. And it was so funny. These people, it's like they have all the fires, what do you call it? Like the sparklers, and they're holding them. And the people come out and they do that. That one, and then they have sparklers sliding. Kristen, and I was like, this is what Taylor was. She said, yeah, that's.
And I asked them, because I was like, now are y'all going to do the slip and slide at the first year or the wedding? They're like, we're going to do it at both. And I'm like,
Oh, okay. These people are coming out. She doesn't seem like she did. She just have like all the sparklers. And then that's what they do. They look at each other.
What's going to be hot? I'm like, they're like, we're just going to tell people to bring their bathing suits. And I'm like, okay.
Yes, it wasn't her full, it wasn't her full down, the girl had, what might have been, I don't know, but it was layers in that camera. Just was right there, and I got the angle and all
Okay,
that.
I guess we'll get started. Everybody seems to be having a good time talking. That's good. But I'm glad you're here. We're gonna talk a little bit tonight about wisdom in work, wealth, and leadership. So I think this is a really good chapter, and I hope it lends to a lot of discussion, because that's what I'm planning on. Okay, it's just a lot. It's common sense kind of things, or common, like, just practical kind of things, I guess is a better word than common sense there. So I hope that we can have some discussion with that. So let's start with the prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this beautiful weather you've given us. Thank you for the changing of the seasons and blooming flowers and trees and just the beautiful weather. Help us to stop and to take advantage of that, and to look and see creation and know that you loved us enough to give us color, smells, and beautiful things. Thank you for tonight, that we can look in your word and that we can learn to ask you for wisdom. We can learn more about why we want wisdom and how we can live a wise way so that we can be like Jesus. Thank you for each lady here, and help us as we study tonight, that we open our hearts and our minds to what you want us to hear. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we're going to start in Matthew. We're going to start in Matthew chapter 25, if you want to turn there. And this is the parable of the talents, which you're probably familiar with. And it's kind of lengthy, but I want to read it. And I want us to think about, as I'm reading it, what lesson can we learn from this passage about wisdom? Okay? So Matthew chapter 25, I'm going to start in verse 14. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey, who has called his servants and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents of money, to another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received the 5 talents went out at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. So also the one with 2 talents gained 2 more. But the man who had received the 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received the 5 talents brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with the 2 talents also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received the 1 talent came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you've not sown and gathering where you've not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. Take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For everyone who has will be given more, and he will have abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. All right. So, what do we think here? Lesson learned about wisdom. You ever thought about this passage teaching us about wisdom? Okay, she says it strikes her how he only gets angry with the last servant. Okay, everyone else, regardless of how much they earned, he said, "Well done, good and faithful servant," and he celebrated each one of them. And all of Jesus's parables, there's a deeper meaning than just kind of what you see maybe on the surface. And she thinks he's teaching a lesson about stewardship here, and I think that she's right on that. Even though their return was different, the 5 talent, the 2 talent, each servant but one had the same perspective. The other 2 were like, I got to do something with this to give back, to do with, steward with what I've been given. That's not mine, so I can return it better or more than what I've been given. Okay? They did their best with the resources that belonged to someone else. Okay? And regardless of the obstacles, and we don't know what obstacles they might have faced. They could have faced discouragement or temptation or fear. They courageously fulfilled the task they'd been given. All right? And she goes on to say, we've all been given resources from God. I think we would all agree with that 100%. We've been given money, we've been given time, we've been given jobs, we've been given talent, we've been given relationships. God has entrusted all those resources with us, and we're called to use them wisely. Okay? So when we forget that we're stewards, we use the resources like they came from us and that they belong to us. And they really didn't. And I think that's kind of the point she's wanting to make here from this with wisdom, is make a wise choice, steward these in a wise way. They're not yours. Okay? And wisdom tells us what we have is not ours. It's God's entrusted it to us to do something good with it. Does that make sense?
That's great, though.
It doesn't? Okay. Well, we'll keep going. Maybe it will. Okay. She says when we forget that we're stewards, we use the resources like they came from us and belong to us. Have you ever done that? I know we all have. I worked hard for this. We've all said that, I'm sure. That's mine, and I don't want it messed up or blah, blah, blah. We've all said a phrase similar to that before. And so in this session, she's going to get us to look at how to use the resources God has given us wisely, stewarding them for his glory. Okay? So what does stewardship mean? It talks about stewarding them for his glory. But what does stewardship mean? It's not in the book, so.
Like being in charge of something or someone. In charge. Responsible for.
Responsible. Okay? Being in charge of someone, responsible. Yeah. That's not yours, but you're asked to care for it, take care of it, be responsible for it. Okay? And that can be a thing, that can be money, that could be a person, that could be any number of things, right? Okay? Our time, our talents, all of those things. Okay? Well, when we talk about wealth, why is that such an uncomfortable topic many times? Do what?
People only think about money.
People only think about it as money. Okay. Why is it? Why is it when we start talking, if I ask all of you, okay, I want you to name what you make, your salary. How many of you in here would do that? Why not?
Well, I would guess I might have.
But yeah, my point is, why is wealth and money such an uncomfortable topic?
Because I think a lot of times stereotypically it's judged.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's if I come in and I say, well, I make $7 an hour, you're like, why are you trying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And somebody else is like, well, I make $100,000 a year, and you're like, okay, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
in society, it's judged and it's stereotyped and it's.
I think there's a lot of jealousy.
Yeah.
Well,
That's right.
but
Keith Moran, we had the two brothers. Jealous each other.
Yeah.
Women's class.
I think, our earning habits, our income we consider personal, personal things, and they can be judged by others negatively, positively, whatever, used as comparison or anything like that. Maybe we're in a season of financial hardship and we don't want people to know how much we're in debt or whatever. Or maybe I know a lot of people who'll distrust, like the elders. And when they give them, I'm not giving there because I don't know what they're doing.
I think people can judge how you spend your money. Like, if they think that you maybe don't make a lot of money, they're like, well, why are you going on those nice trips? Or,
Yeah.
how are you going to pay for your kids' college? But
Right.
we went through a season where when we had adopted the first time, we did some adoption fundraisers. And then we felt like, if we go out to eat, people are going to be like, why aren't you using that money for your adoption?
Yeah.
And so we were just like, that made us, we were grateful for people that wanted to help. But then it also felt like, oh, like I'm careful about how people might see us spending our money.
Well, isn't that true? If you haven't done this, then you're a much better person than I have. But haven't you looked at somebody and seen them in a maybe very poor state and they've got, I don't know, a nice car or a nice cell phone or whatever, and you're like, why do they have that when they or look to where somebody lived or what somebody had on? Sometimes we do. And we don't really know the whole situation. We've made a quick judgment of that. Yeah, like you said, why are they going out to eat? They need to be home. They could save more money.
I don't remember in what context it was, but it was, wealth is different, perceived differently by different people,
Yes.
different ages of people. You can be completely wealthy, feel completely wealthy and have $500 in the bank, but all your bills are paid and
Right.
everything, you've got food to eat, you've got gas. And some other people, they don't have $500,000, they don't feel like they're, set for anything. And I don't remember where this came, what led to this or whatever, but it's just like giving her money for adoption or giving to the church or anything. You need to give with your heart and you don't worry about it after that.
Absolutely.
It's not, you're giving because that's what you feel led to give.
And you
I'll
don't worry about how
I'll
they're
plug
going to use
giving
it.
the fund, giving to have your car washed. But
No, that's what Montclair said.
She was at the best
It's
part.
the best car wash.
It is the best car wash. I'm just not so sure at the,
If it's
quality.
Her best car wash and my best car wash are
You
not the
give
same.
from the heart, Once you give it, it's gone. You don't think about it. And if they don't do the right thing with what you've given, that's on them. You have done what you feel like you need to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to come back to that some more when we talk about giving and all. Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. And the book of Proverbs, most of the Proverbs were written by Solomon. And King Solomon, if you go back to 1 Kings chapter 10, I'll just read you a few little parts here, okay? And then you can tell me if he was wealthy or not, okay? The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents, okay? That doesn't mean anything to me. Look it up. That's 25 tons. He gets 25 tons of gold a year, yearly. Okay, right there, that's enough to say he's wealthy, right?
I always thought talents were, when I always read the scripture that in Matthew, like, I thought it was physical talent. And then in my version I have now, it says it's silver.
Yeah, it's some kind of coin.
Yeah.
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 I'm over here thinking it's cloth, like a talon, like on a.
Talents.
So,
Yeah, silver. Okay, here's some more.
his is go.
Okay, he had a throne inlaid with ivory and overlaid with fine gold. Okay, was the greatest. I can name all the animals and all this he had, but King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. Okay, but then the next verse, verse 24 says, the whole world sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart. Okay, so there qualifies him to write this. And Proverbs, wealth is one of the topics he discusses the most. So, we always like, well, I'm not going to listen to her about parenting because she doesn't have kids, that kind of thing. Okay, well, we can listen to Solomon because he had lots of wealth and he had lots of wisdom. Okay, and wealth is one of the topics he discusses the most. He provides he provides wealth, frames it as positive, blessing from God that is the fruit of diligent work. Okay, so he doesn't frame it as it's bad. Okay, and he emphasizes that we should remember whom our wealth truly belongs to. Okay, and we've been given what we've been given from God for us to do something with. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. He warns about how easy it is to make wealth an idol. Do you think that's really easy? Yeah, we see that every day. If you turn the TV on or anything, right? You can see wealth being an idol. We can trust in it as our source of security. We can trust it as a source of identity. And she says, make no mistake, idols always take more from us than they will ever give us. And that's true. We know that with anything. So it's the most discussed topic. He frames it as a positive blessing. It's the fruit of our diligent work. We've got to remember that it comes from God, not let it become an idol. And in the times that this was written, wealth wasn't seen really like Solomon had extravagant wealth. But when he's talking about wealth here, he's not talking about extravagance. He's talking about sufficiency. Okay, so in Proverbs, the wealthy person is one who has more than enough to meet their needs. Okay, so we're not talking about a house made of gold and 12 cars and all of this kind of stuff. We're talking about having more than enough to meet your needs. So we're all wealthy, okay, because we all have more than enough to meet our needs. So we're going to look at how to view our wealth, and having a wise perspective acknowledges who it came from. So let's turn to Proverbs then. We're going to stay there for a little while. Somebody read Proverbs 10:22.
The Lord's blessing brings wealth, and no sorrow comes with it.
Okay, so who is the ultimate source of our wealth? The Lord. Okay, the Lord. All right. Proverbs 30:8 and 9. I'll be flipping around here, but just stay in Proverbs. Proverbs 30:8 and 9. Because Solomon says it much better than I can.
Keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonor the name of God.
Okay, so what was his specific request related to wealth?
Give me just what he needs.
Give me just enough. Give me just what is needed. And the reason for that was what, Angie?
Oh, so that I wouldn't steal or lie.
Yeah. Or that I wouldn't have too much to disown you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, both sides.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's right. Both sides, Give me just enough. Okay, now, how do you feel about that? Could you live with just enough for today? Just enough for today.
But then it comes a point like, okay, well, if he gave me these talents and I got more, then I could have quite a bit more, and then I could do more.
So some of you may have heard me tell this story before, but when we lived in Nicaragua and I would go to the grocery store, I would buy wheat, and so my cart and all the people around me were literally buying for their next meal. they would have one piece of chicken, one tomato, one, and it just kind of goes along with that verse, you know, or the, you know, prayer, give us our daily bread. And that's what they were doing. They were having faith that, you know, what I make tomorrow, the whatever, $2 I make tomorrow is going to pay for my meals tomorrow. But this is all I have today. And I always felt just guilty, you know, having a whole cart full of stuff while they're literally buying their next meal.
I think too, that's not how we do it. That's not,
Yeah.
yes, there are some in the United States who live like, but the percentage is probably very small. But you know, when you've been to Mexico and you've delivered a food box, that we could probably go to the grocery store and maybe $10, and it's enough to feed a family of 4 for 2 or 3 weeks. When I was in Africa, they're thrilled with just a little bit of something. If they have, and they do, but they're very content with that because that's all they've ever known. Unfortunately, we're not content that way. And I'm guilty. I'll be at the front of the line, you know, so I think a lot of it too does just go to your norm,
Right.
you know.
Right, yeah. I think that's very, very right. And going back to that with in New Mexico, it took me back the first time we went to El Zorrillo. Lots of things did, but when we go in some of the little stores there, that everything was sold just one. You know, you had one roll of toilet paper. You bought one. I've never bought just one roll of toilet paper in my life. I go to Sam's and buy this much, you know? Okay? And then one bar of soap and one little tiny, like dishwashing liquid. Everything was just, and I'm like, well, first of all, they don't have the money. But secondly, that's all they need, you know, till they get there next. So it's very out. And Angie, you're right. That's not the way we live. And this is not meant to be a guilt trip for us, but it's to help us to think about what we have been given and what we should be doing with it. Yeah.
Well, and I think that goes back too, because I've been on the flip side of, not that I've been in another country, but I lived in my car for 6 weeks. And I tell you what, you never know how strong you are until strong is your only option. And if that means making a loaf of bread and one thing of peanut butter and jelly lasts for a week for you and kids, then that's what you make happen. You know, just being thankful that you do have whatever it is.
That's right. Okay, so when we look at that, then let's look at 3 verses here. Proverbs 11:4. And these verses want us to consider what our wealth is not able to do. Okay, Proverbs 11:4.
Wealth is worthless in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death.
All right, keep that in mind and read verse 7, someone. 11:7.
Hopes placed in morals die with them. All the promise of their power comes to none.
All right, and then Proverbs 27:24.
For riches do not endure forever, and a crown is not secure for all generations.
All right, so what does wealth not do? What is it not able to do?
It lasts forever.
It doesn't last. It doesn't last. It doesn't endure. It doesn't save us. It's not going to be. Can't take it with us. Okay? It doesn't last. It doesn't endure. Okay? So, look at Proverbs 15 and verse 16. Proverbs 15:16.
Better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil.
All right, so what does that mean, Kim?
It's better to have a little bit when you have the Lord, not to say that you're not going to have hard times, but it's going to be easier to get through those hard times if you have the Lord than if you don't have the Lord and you have great wealth with lots of
just
Yeah.
life going on, hard things.
Yeah, and I think about that verse too, when we think about how people make it without the church
The
family,
church, yeah.
So yeah, it's better to have the Lord than to have all this other stuff, but your life is in turmoil. We're right now in the middle of tax season, or we're near the end of tax season, thank you. But you see all of this and how much people that have a lot, how much it is to take care of, and it's just like a lot.
When I just think of this verse, just and kind of going off what you're saying, just makes me think of celebrities. You look at them; they have all these things, that you could want. These big houses, they get to go on these vacations, and they have all these cars and whatever they want, but they're unhappy. They're unhappy. They, you look at how many of them have turned to addiction or taken their own life because they're unhappy. I mean, to me, that's proof that wealth alone is not going to make you happy.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, let's look at another one. Proverbs 16:8.
Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice.
Okay. What was that telling us?
Well, it's better to do just a little bit and do it right than
Gain a lot in the
do it
wrong
wrong.
way, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I guess I can have a little house and have worked hard for it and had God in my heart, or I could rob the bank and have a big house.
Okay, so better living with integrity, So, okay. Verse 19 of chapter 16.
It is better to be humble and be with those who suffer than to share stolen property.
Okay. Yeah. And you know whose name? Do you know whose name I have written out beside this? It's not a person that you know. I don't mean that. Yeah, let me tell you. Somebody in the Bible. Mine says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Okay. Haman. You remember Haman? Okay. Very proud, and you must want to honor me. And then it didn't last. So pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Okay? So again, humility is much better than pride. Okay? And then Proverbs 28:6.
Better the poor whose walk is blameless than the rich whose ways are perverse.
Okay, so what's that telling us, Jill?
To do what's right, like you're better, like makes me think of what she said about like a lot of the celebrities that are out there. They may be wealthy, but they're not walking in the right way, a lot of them, and they're not happy, and their lives are turmoil.
Right. So we can learn from these verses about living with integrity, being humble, fearing the Lord, respecting the Lord, and doing the right thing, righteousness. Those are things that these verses are sharing with us. Okay? Why is this such a big problem in our culture that we've been tempted to find identity in material possessions?
Put God first, so trust in Him.
Right.
Then they need to be humble. I think so many people in society are very, very materialistic, and in that they get like this: I am better because I have, instead of what's worth. This is what God gave. Let God go.
Just social media. I mean, that's what we're told and shown. Like, you deserve this. Get what you want. And I mean, it's just everything that you watch. That's along with lots of other negative things, but that's kind of the theme through anything that you see.
But it only shows the big and the good.
Yeah.
And you get sucked in thinking that it's all great. Well,
it's
that
not.
surface only is real thin layer. So,
And it could be temporary.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in that, with wealth, like you said, wealth is temporary. You can't take it from us. And at the end of the money and wealth can buy you, financial wealth is gonna buy you a bigger house, a bigger boat, more land. But at the end of the day, when you lay your head down, thankful for something, what do you think? Are you happy in your heart? You're not gonna feel from land out. I mean, I don't know about that. I know my heart really loves husband, church family, kids. Because at the end of the day, that's just
We're so bad to compare ourselves to others, and then when we do that, we think we see that grass is greener on the other side and that sort of thing. I think it's such a valuable, I don't know exactly what the verse, where it's in Thessalonians, one of the Thessalonians, where it says live a quiet life and work with your hands and, do your thing, stay in your lane, and so that you won't owe anybody, and, it's just encouraging us to put your nose to the grindstone and do what you got to do in front of you, and don't worry about, everybody else.
Yeah. And that's a good segue into next. Look at Matthew chapter 6, and again, probably very familiar with this. It says, "Do not worry." That's what it talks about there. I always I want to cut this section out, my Bible, and then not be there sometimes. But therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the lilies of the field grow? They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon, in all of his splendor, was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what will we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So, what's this telling us? What biblical truth is a wise perspective from this?
You gotta trust God. Stop trying to
Yeah, we got to seek God first, and God's going to take care of what we need.
You need to find that passage from that first book that we read, starts with an I,
Isaiah.
about not doing things on your own. That's literally what stuck me right here. I walked in here and I
Stuck?
Yeah, she read that verse. Yeah, I'm stuck
Wherever.
about not doing things on your own. And things are so hard because you've been trying to do it on your own. And if you would just let God help you, you wouldn't be in this situation. Let me find the part.
I think it goes back to that phrase, let go and let God.
I think that's the crux of the man with the one talent, honestly. That is the crux of the matter right there.
Yeah.
He was, and when it says don't worry, to me, I always think fretting. It's that fretting.
Right.
It's like we have to, we're going to think about, okay, what are we going to eat this week? That's natural.
Right.
But when we fret over things like that, that is when it kind of tips over and goes over the line. The one talent man, it said he was working out of fear.
Yeah.
He was working out of fear. And that's never the right answer. Never.
No, he was scared. And this master's going to, what if I, so he didn't do anything. Just froze him.
Right.
Fear to hide.
Yeah.
And you're right. Fear's only good if there's a bear in front of you, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. I think you're right there. Okay.
I think we can tend to almost look at people who we know have a lot of money and think, oh, well, they don't love God because they have all this money. We can be judgy in that way. And sometimes it's just the path of career they've taken just happen, and they can still be godly parents and spouses. And so I think I've been quick to judge people at times like, oh, that must be nice. But, and thinking, oh, well, at least I love God, but, I think that it's important. Like, we know someone, that has lots and lots of wealth, like worldly wealth, but he said, I don't want my kids to be spoiled, so I got them out of bed at 6:15 to scoop some mulch so that they know that you don't just have to hire someone. And it's like they, like I think if you like, there's some things you have to do. If you don't have a lot of money, you have to work to trust in the Lord in a way that's like, I trust that you'll bring the next thing. And if you have a plethora, you have to like maybe be more gracious and grateful and work towards like not
Yeah.
being too proud.
Yeah, and it's like that, the proverb that we read that said, I'll forget about God and think that I've done all this, or I've been given all this, or entitled. No, that's a evil word, entitled, Okay, so the wise perspective of wealth leads us to remember that we are not the ultimate owners of our material possessions. All of what we have belongs to God, and while He is limitless, the power and reach of our wealth is not. She says wisdom invites us to rightly value our money, not using it to provide what only God can, things like our identity, purpose, and self-security. So whether we, like the Apostle Paul, are in abundance or in need, he said in Philippians, our limitless God will help us have a contentment that overflows into transformational generosity. And that's what we're going to talk about. Next is the wise use of our wealth. So in this world, and we've already kind of mentioned social media and TV and all this, and way back when I taught marketing classes at Freed Hardeman, I taught an advertising class. And one of the things I told them, I was going to give them an assignment that they had to count every advertisement they saw in a 24-hour period. And then I quickly told them, I'm only kidding because it's like 30,000, it's ridiculous how many, that it is. And in our culture, anyway, we're encouraged to consume, are we not? Everything is about what you need. Think about this. My daughter-in-law sent me a text today of a snack the boys have learned to like. And then right next, she said, well, Facebook saw me sending that because automatically Facebook had that coming up. Those algorithms will get you, and just stuff like that. You start looking for something, then you're just bombarded with it. But the way of wisdom doesn't teach us to consume. It teaches us to cultivate. Okay, to cultivate what we have and use that for good things. Okay. When we live within our means, we've all heard that saying before, and we've taught that to our children and, others. Live within our means. The extra, we all have extra, okay, can be helped, she says, to create beauty, to restore brokenness, and to spread the gospel. So we need to be thinking about the extra that we have. What do we use that extra for? Is it to create beauty? Is it to restore brokenness? Is it to spread the gospel? Is it used in ways that help and the ways that God would want us to? And she says, Proverbs gives us the opportunity to see beyond our personal situation, to imagine what God can do through the wealth He's given to us, which includes uplifting those in need. So He's given this to us, kind of like, think about us being those talents. What would we do with it? Would we double it? Would we use it in a way or are we so, it's mine, and, I always said my dad would give you the shirt off his back. If somebody came around, and my dad's not a perfect man by any means, but if somebody needed something, he'd give it to them right then and there, And Danny, you've heard Danny talk about his mom. She was that way. Absolutely, she was that way. And that's just the way of wisdom, the way of, I've been given this, And Danny didn't think they had any money growing up because he didn't have any money, but they had money. He just didn't know they had money.
Don't you kind of think that was as much about the attitude as anything with the talents? Because
Absolutely.
I think if the 5 and the 3 talent man if they had
lost, like if they had tried and lost it, maybe it was
Yeah.
maybe it's smaller by the time the boss came back. I think I just feel like it wasn't about the amount of talents that
Yeah.
was left.
No, I
it
think
was
you're
the
right.
attitude.
I think you're right. Be a good steward. Now, if they'd lost it in a foolish way, that'd be one
Right.
thing. But
They're
if
trying,
they were working
yeah.
and trying with it, yeah.
It's like the one talent man, like he wasn't like I always tell people, if you're gonna strike out swinging. Like
Yeah.
this is from a softball person.
Right, right.
You know, some of us used to play softball
That's
together
right.
with Cattle Street.
Back
you
in the
know?
day.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
And don't stand there
Right.
and strike out. If you're gonna strike out, you at least be trying to swing and hit the ball.
Yeah.
To me, it you know, it's that attitude of
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you're right. And Phyllis could hit the softball too. We both could back in the
We
day.
could.
Right? I think we could now.
Like a league of their own, play again.
Oh yeah, it's so fun.
Well, somebody the other day said there was somebody here, it wasn't any of y'all, that wanted to start a ladies basketball. We used to do that.
We
too.
did.
Basketball.
I'm like,
I'll trip over my feet.
basketball. I was like, my mind, I can do it. I can see myself.
I can do it for
I'm
about
not sure my body would do it.
for about 5 seconds. I can do it.
I can see myself doing all of that I used to do. But yeah. Anyway. Okay. All right.
We
So,
can practice our wheelchair basketball.
All right.
Get wheelchairs to
That's right.
practice.
okay. All right. So, in Proverbs, they link wealth and poverty. Okay. So, she talks about that the book is very clear about how an intentional choice not to work leads to poverty. It is also shows how poverty is often connected to unjust business practices. Okay. And so the sad reality is those that make an idle out of money will go to any means to obtain it, even when it harms other people. And I think we see that. So to be wise stewards of God's resources, we need to consider how we can help those who've been financially disadvantaged by injustice and greed. Okay, now that kind of goes back to what Angie said earlier about when you give, you don't worry about what they do about it. Because some of those people that you want to give to are in that situation because somebody has been greedy or injustice happened to them, something they had nothing to do with. Okay, and then we know too, some of those people, they caused it themselves and they're there for, that, but still, that's not for us to judge. We're the ones to give and to help and then let God worry about the rest, and that's hard for us to do sometimes. Okay, let's read Proverbs 11, 24 and 25. Proverbs 11, verses 24 and 25.
One man gives freely, it gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed.
Okay? All right, so one person gives freely and does what? He's rewarded for it. Another withholds and loses everything. It's that about how tight you gripped your hand, that money is in there, you've got to pry it loose, you've seen little kids when we used to pass the plate,
Yeah.
when they go, or if we're with an open hand. Why is it so hard sometimes to have an open hand, to let go of what we have?
Work for it. It's yours.
I think it's just our flesh, our nature is that way.
Agreed.
And we're just afraid, I think.
Security.
Security.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just afraid, well, I might need this or I might not have it tomorrow, whatever.
We talk about having a scarcity mindset, like, oh, I have this right now, I'll never have it again. Like, sometimes the kids will think, like, today was a good day, but that's never going to happen again. So, I think we do that with money. Like,
See, I have that problem. Thanks. And I think it's because I had been, and I'm like, my fear is that I've gotten to the point where I can get it. I don't want to give it away. I don't use it right now, but why give it away if I can't ever get it back, or if I'm going to have to work so hard, and now we're in a place where I can give and let go of things. But I think a lot of it came from, like she was saying, trusting God. Give it and trust God.
I remember one time we were at the City of Children, and they got a new little brother and sister that day that came in. And I don't know, Angie, if you were there, they brought them in there and asked if we could have something in the kitchen for them to eat. So we fixed them a plate, and they ate. And they were like 6, 7 years old, and they ate, and they ate, and they ate, and they ate. And I thought, they're going to be sick. They were going to be sick because they ate way too much, but they hadn't had food. And so it was like, that's scary, I'm not going to get any more. I'm going to get all I can right now, because I'm not going to have it. They didn't know that they were going to get another meal the next morning when they woke up, and another one at lunch, another one at dinner. But to them, I haven't had food. And they were as white as that board because they'd been kept inside, not been outside. They were skinny. I mean, it was pitiful. Of course, I wanted to just have whatever but we finally had to stop them because it wasn't what was best for them. But I think sometimes maybe we get that way and thinking, I'm not going to have it again. Or somebody might take it away. I don't know. Okay. This proverb we just read, these 2 verses, what does it teach us about foolish use of money?
I may want to have freedom. I can't say free.
Free?
Mm-hmm.
Give freely?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What does it tell us? It says foolish use of money is holding it, right? Keeping it. Not doing with it, not helping with it. Okay? And the Proverbs teaches us the wise use is to give, that we're blessed when we give. And we've all known that. I mean, we all know that. How many times have you done something and just received more blessing from it than you ever gave? Or maybe you gave sacrificially and it showed back up in a little while. And we could probably go around the room and tell stories of that happening. I remember when we first started here and we weren't that young because we were 30, but somebody gave us $1,000. That was a lot of money to me then. It's still a lot of money, but it really was. And they were blessed by doing that. It blessed me a lot, but, and I know who it is now. I didn't know who it was then, but, I've tried to always remember that and think, here's a new youth minister coming in, kids and this, when they need some help and all that, and how much it can bless. But that person was blessed way more than I was. And they've been richly blessed since then. Okay, so according to these passages, if we walk in the way of wisdom, what's going to happen to us?
We'll flourish.
We'll flourish. We'll flourish. We'll be refreshed. We'll flourish. Okay. Okay, let's read a few more. Well, no, we're out of time. Okay. Sorry, got out of time. Polly didn't even get as far as I told you we would. There's a lot in here. That's right. There's a lot in here. We will finish this one next week, talking about work, wisdom and work, and wisdom and leadership. 2 other good lessons about this. So I hope you'll be back. And thank you for coming. And we'll see you next week.
Ryan's not here, so I gotta go get it.
You have to go to tomorrow. That's a big job.
That's really My mother.
Does she really? I've only been there.
I don't know if you heard me say this, but I've been saying this for a year.
But I see her out there talking about yeah.
I look at these people with young kids, you don't even and I'm like, I'm like,
I didn't got there, but the building that they had, it was about being ready, but she had several things that like a backup plan, you know, if it was messed up, and the building that they were like, in February, and she was like, oh no, now what are we gonna do? And they put it back together for the wedding. They said, we're gonna be done. So this is, there's Jake, that's Skinny Jake, and Nate, and that's his daughter, and that's his son. So, yeah, there's what, so then the guy she married, I think I got you three parts. And so he's darling too. So Jake and I been dating for 3 years, and he'd like to get married, but I am crazy about it. This is what it was. This is when she got big, and this is outdoor. Where was that? It was in Red Banks. It was only like 30 minutes from Baker and Oakland. And so, this building here got put together the night.
Oh, my
I mean,
word.
finished the night before.
Oh, my word.
They turned lectures. I know, it's crazy, but it was like it all felt, that fell into place, the weather was good. Gosh, it's so precious. That was picked up last night. I met online and tell Emily that. He was pretty hard, and she's 36, and he's 34. And he's as good as gold. You know, Jack's a big golfer, so they're already big buddies.
You know, when they, you know, a long time ago when online dating started, but now, I mean, yeah, oh, is it? I did not know that.
Well, see, I really had nothing to argue about it because I enjoy my own
Right.
And so, 7 years, and my mother, my nieces were all in, and my niece Marie keeps asking me a bunch of questions, and I'm thinking, oh, she loves me so much. She's asking me all these profile. And she really? I had no idea. She went, after about 15 minutes, she said, she was on the phone. They're all on their phone.
Yeah,
I
24/7.
think nothing else. Right. And she said, okay, you're on. And I said, she said, I switched on email. And I said, I think that's a show. I said, get me off there. Right. And she said, oh, you got a bite.
So was it him?
And no. And so it was just fun. So, but it was fun. It was just entertaining. It was
You can tell.
But anyway, I had got it about 3 years. He calls 6'5" and stuff like that. You know, I'm like, you're nice, but you're. But the 4 guys actually the ones who went to Chicago, like I had to go on this one today. But he's right the guy that he did early. And so I met Johnny. But what he did was back there, this church had built back in the day. And the tree, and I said, and so he tried to, you know, but anyway, so I mean, yeah, but yeah. I thought I picked you up. And so, yeah. And so I was thinking, I said, oh, you're not bringing
but I